towards becoming an advanced communicator bronze. Every day we use phrases that make sense to us, but we have no idea where they come from. Please welcome Marc as he presents Now You Know the Origin of Phrases. Mr. Richards.
Fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, before you gave your last speech, did anybody tell you, break a leg? Why would you do that? The phrase actually originated in the stage, and it had to do with when you break your leg, you're actually bending it at the knee. And so when you break your leg, you would do that in a bow, for instance, after a successful performance. So when somebody says break a leg, they're actually wishing you luck, which we all know, but we didn't know where it came from and why the phrase break the leg. There are phrases that we encounter all the time, and we don't know where they came from or why they exist. You've heard phrases like piece of pie, easy as cake, who let the cat out of the bag, don't throw the baby out with the dish with the bathwater. These are examples of scores of phrases out there. What I'm going to do today is present a few of them to you and give you an idea of where they came from. The first speech in Toastmasters is called the icebreaker. Did you ever wonder, why is it called the icebreaker? The origin of the phrase dates back to the 1800s, where there were specialized ships that would break the ice in the northern shipping lanes, allowing for the free flow of commerce and traffic and ships to go in those northern shipping lanes. When two people meet, for example, there's an ice between them. When we meet somebody for the first time, there's ice between us. The icebreaker is a speech that allows for communication, for a flow, as in a flow of traffic. Now you know. There are some phrases that have very unusual meanings that you can understand. For example, what does cut the mustard mean? You've heard that before, and you might use it, but you don't know what it means. Well, to cut something is to achieve a certain level of standard. So if you've reached the cut, right, then you've achieved that certain level. Where does mustard come in? As it turns out, many, many years ago, mustard was held in high regard and valued along with other spices as to be of relative value to humans. So if you achieve a certain level, you might cut the mustard, meaning you've achieved a certain accomplishment, and you're therefore as valuable as mustard. Now you know. Don't mean all these are good. They're just the question I have, and I've always had, is, well, what if you didn't like mustard? Could you cut the ketchup? Don't know. Another phrase that you've heard before is barking up the wrong tree. If you're barking up the wrong tree, that means that you're assuming something about someone or something that really isn't correct. Well, how did that phrase come about? Again, going back to the 1800s, it's a hunting term. And it started as this. Dogs were excellent at chasing prey. And they would go running through the forest chasing after prey. But dogs are not good climbers. And if a prey would climb up a tree, the dog would sit at the base of the tree and bark up at the prey so that the hunter knew where the prey was. If the prey was faster than the dog, and the dog missed the cue as to which tree the prey went up, then it would be at the base of the wrong tree and barking up the wrong tree. You got it. Now you know. Finally, if you go to a physician and the physician says, you are fit as a fiddle, and you're thinking, okay, that sounds good. I know, yeah, I'm fit as a fiddle. What does that mean? Where did that come from? To be fit as a fiddle simply means a fiddle is a violin, essentially. A violin, like any other instrument, has to be tuned. Sometimes the strings break and you have to replace the strings. The frets have to be adjusted from time to time. And all of these mean that once you get the instrument in perfect shape and it's tuned, right, then it's in good shape. So if we compare a fiddle to a human, that means that if you are fit as a fiddle, right, then you have achieved that certain level of health. Now you know. Now, if you come across a phrase that somebody says to you, and you're not quite sure what it means exactly or what its origin of is, you can go to knowyourphrase.com, and this will give you the origin of many of these unusual phrases, sayings, and utterances that people might say. I've used it actually in a presidential speech just recently, and I thought, well, I'm not quite sure. How does that work? I can't remember exactly what it was, I'm sorry, but I did look it up, and it actually fit, but it was an unusual phrase. So hopefully we're seeing eye to eye in this concept, and I can take my leave right now, and I've given you a speech that's down to earth. Now you know.